Hi everyone. This is a really shaming and dark moment for the Indian media, a sort of wake-up call, a moment that demands great self-introspection. And if we are unable to do that, if we are unable to call a spade, I'm afraid we will turn a very dark corner. I'm sure all of you already know the contours of the Zee scandal by now. The fact that two very senior Zee editors have been arrested on extortion charges by the Jindal group, and the fact that the forensic laboratory has authenticated the reverse sting that the Jindal company did on Zee News editors. The implications of this are really immense. At the outset, the media response to it itself is very disturbing because it is fairly muted, it is not outraged, and it is met with a great degree of a sort of fatalistic realism that this is how business happens. I think we have to give up that sense of fatalism. We have to have a sense of outrage that this is something that absolutely crosses the line and we cannot hide against the smokescreen of saying this is an attack on media freedom. To say that is completely ludicrous. What the Zee editors were doing does not constitute journalism by any yardstick. There is a sense that Zee has put up a spirited defense, as some papers headlined it. I feel that we very strongly have to disagree with that because Zee's positions are, one, they say that it is they who set out to expose Jindal's desire to give a bribe. Two, that it was not they who were extorting, but Jindal who was bribing. This does not constitute a great defense because if it was they that had set out to expose Jindal, the moment Jindal made any offer, they should have gone public with it. But not only did they fail to go public with it, 45 days later, even when their editors are arrested, there is no sign of that footage. Clearly, it doesn't exist. The second point, which is to say that the conversation is something they admit to, but they say that it is Jindal who is offering the bribe rather than they who are demanding an extortion amount, is a completely spurious argument. The moment Jindal offered a bribe, what were they doing entertaining that conversation? Not only entertaining it, but negotiating to turn a 25 crore deal into a 100 crore deal, assuring Jindal's men again and again that the damaging stories that they had been doing on the Jindal coal scam would now be taken off the air, it would be subtly done, and that they would set up a positive relationship in perpetuity. Watching that piece of footage is really a shaming moment. There can be no defense of it. Having said that, what are the lessons that we need to take from this? Indian media is actually, like the world over, suffering from a deep structural, financial and ethical crisis. There is no point in just blaming individuals. The system actually needs a great overhaul. To have independent media, first of all, one needs financial freedoms. We do need consumers to pay. This is perhaps the only business, only profession where one just does not pay even the production rate of news. Consumers refuse to pay. To just give you a small example, a magazine like Tehelka sells at 25 rupees. Consumers across the country are willing to pay 100 rupees, 200 rupees for a cup of coffee, a packet of chips, but you're not willing to pay that for news. When a magazine would normally cost about 100 to 200 rupees to produce, it sells at rupees 25. This makes it structurally important to rely on ads. And that's not just for the print medium, that's true for electronic media, where carriage costs are huge, distribution costs are huge, and one's reliance on corporate advertising is so huge that even with the best of intentions, it is difficult to stay as independent as one would want to. Today, the rot has set in so deep within all of us that the wake-up call is important. If we don't self-critique, if we don't self-regulate, then ultimately it will be done for us. I have been a great opponent of any regulation of the media. One is terrified of having an authority decide what can constitute journalism and not be kosher. It should be done by the fraternity, but for that we need to have our own very clear sense of right and wrong, and especially when there is visual proof of it, we must respond with a great degree of shame and outrage. We know, for us, I imagine that this is our news of the world moment. In the UK, it was not just the grand jury that went through the Murdoch empire, there was a great degree of shock and outrage from the media fraternity, and all of that has led to a cleanup, a sense of deterrence, and we certainly need that now. Thanks so much for listening in.